Welcome back to Sound Bites, the show about good people doing good things in the local food and drink industry. And today, I'm pleased to welcome Laura McLaughlin, one of the founders and co-owners of the August House, a boutique inn located in Windsor, Nova Scotia that has food and drink at its heart. So welcome, Laura.
Well, thank you, Mark. Welcome to the August House. I'm sitting here in a common space on a bit of a gray day, but it's nice and cheerful in here. So it's good to see your face.
Thanks. And to give a little context to the audience, I've known Laura for quite some time now. We got to know each other via more kind of corporate relationship originally, as kind of had the pleasure of working with Laura during her tenure at the NSLC. Before we could kind of talk about the August House specifically, what has it meant for you personally to kind of trade in corporate life for an entrepreneurial life? And specifically, I don't want to say it's cliche, but that idea of trading in corporate life for the life of being an innkeeper.
Totally. I know it is a bit cliche, isn't it? But I think a lot of people have tapped into that experience, especially through the pandemic, which really gave us that like collective, global, maybe unwanted, but maybe needed pause in our lives to step back and say, okay, what's really meaningful to me in my life, and what am I craving, and like, could I come at this differently? And if I was 13 years in 13 years plus at the NSLC, and then before that in corporate or government setting, so really like had a really similar rhythm to my life for the better part of almost 20 years. So I was ready just to see maybe what a different rhythm would look like. And the opportunity to partner up on the August House came along, and it was a kind of a now or never moment. And I'm so grateful for that, because those opportunities don't always come along. And I was able to have the ability to say yes because of all of those years, in a more corporate or traditional setting. So I feel really fortunate that I was able to jump at this opportunity to just do something, I'll say totally different, but I think a lot of it is like in any given day, and I'm sure we can chat about this, being a quote unquote innkeeper, taps on so many different skill sets. Like on any given day, you don't know if you're like in the kitchen, dealing with stuff in there, or cleaning bathrooms, to doing marketing and social media strategy. So it's like, you wear many hats, and definitely the corporate world prepared me for at least some of those hats. So it's been amazing.
I assume it prepared you for the Excel spreadsheets and the planning. Probably not so.
I know, although I feel like I definitely still have a resistance to like, oh God, do we need an Excel spreadsheet for this? Really? but definitely the thought process around planning and being prepared, and even we're still learning a lot though every day, like being the ones responsible for actually rolling up your sleeves and executing some of the strategies is good. Like you're just in constant learning mode with the transition. So, I haven't looked back, but I'm really grateful for those years of experience that I gained and learnings, and I just felt ready for it. And here we are. I'm a year into making the leap. So it's been great.
And you use we a lot, because it's not you alone.
It's definitely not me alone. That's correct. Yeah.
And so you have a couple partners in the business, not least of which is a mutual friend, Colette O'Hara, who actually happened to be an executive here at SaltWire a couple years back, and her husband Ezra Edelstein, who, well, he's and I don't know,
a man of many hats. Yeah, just a very capable human. So I am very fortunate to be partnered up with those two. And it's really the genesis of the transition for me came from the opportunity that they brought to me, really. So Colette grew up down here in Windsor, and was ready for a life change herself. They have a little boy. A lot of shifts happening over the last number of years for them. So she found herself full circle back here in Windsor, just living up the street, and was walking by one day the old, many people may be familiar with Coco Pesto Bistro, which still exists, but they had made the transition out of their traditional home here, sort of in central Windsor. It was a big yellow building at the time. And she was walking by with their son Elijah one day and looked up and saw the for sale for lease sign on the building and said, you know, oh, okay, you know, this may be an opportunity here. So she had sort of held the vision of doing something in the Valley in a hospitality setting at a different scale in a different location for many years. And she and I had always talked about, well, like if you ever do that, like tag me in, you know, I'm game. So it was always this theoretical conversation of like, oh, well, should we do it? And anyway, so one day she was just walking by like mid-pandemic and looked up at the building and thought, oh man, okay, darn it. I think it's that building, like here in Windsor, which is not where she thought she'd find herself. And it's definitely not where I thought I'd find myself. But anyway, from there, we put an offer on the building and, you know, she basically made the call and was like, do you want in? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
So speaking of Windsor, and I think, you know, because you said the obvious vision, you know, when people think about, you know, go back 5-10 years, I don't think that many people think, oh, I'm going to start something like you did in Windsor. You might say Wolfville or, you know. So what about Windsor has got it to a point of evolution that you said, okay, Windsor makes sense?
Well, I mean, for locals listening to this, they may sort of have a vision in their mind of like the renaissance of downtown Dartmouth, which I like is close to my heart because my husband and I lived in downtown Dartmouth for many years. And it was like one business that was a community minded kind of anchored coffee shop that's still going down there, Two of Spicy, really seemed to be a catalyst. This is now going on probably almost more than 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But one vibrant business created a snowball effect in that community, and it was just ready. It was ripe for development, for interesting things, for creative people. And like you look at downtown Dartmouth now and it's amazing. So I'm kind of like, I feel like Windsor's got a little bit of the like Dartmouth of the Valley vibe where it's a little more, you know, edgy. It's not the place that you first think of. And there's a great energy happening here now. I think in particular, there's young people moving here. They're, you know, whether they're working remotely or commuting into Halifax, there's a great community of individuals that are creative minded and open minded and looking for, you know, vibrant, different things going on. You know, I look at downtown Windsor and I'm like, they've got amazing little coffee shops and this fantastic bakery, Bedard's Bakery, Schoolhouse Brewing, excellent restaurants. You know, there's stuff happening and it's a great time to be here. You know, there's lots to do. We're 12 minutes from the ski hill and right now we're in snow season, so it's wonderful for them. And we're also, you know, 15 minutes from the Gastronomy Valley, which I think is just one of the best places on earth. And you do that drive along the back roads through Falmouth into the Gaspereau. We're literally on the doorstep of that. Like you can get to Benjamin Bridge Winery in less than 15-20 minutes. So we really think that it's a great hub location that has an opportunity for people just to think a little bit differently about, and it's got some up and coming creative stuff going on.
Yeah, and I was in the Windsor recently, and you know, and then add in the Cherry Tree, that distillery, which is amazing.
They're fantastic. Yeah, doing really cool stuff. Yeah.
So it's really is, I think, great analogy to call it almost like the Dartmouth of downtown Dartmouth of the Valley. So I've seen the pictures of the before. And I've had the pleasure of staying there recently, so I've seen what you turned it into. So how hard was it to restore and simultaneously almost modernize a property like that?
Well, okay, different perspective. So there's a reason why I absolutely did not do this alone. But if you talk to Ezra, our partner, you know, he would say, "Oh, no problem, it can be done." He's just one of those capable people that is able to not only contribute to a vision, which I would say Colette has in spades, and I can kind of dance between the two. But Ezra has a background in development and construction and brings that capability to the team. And it was just amazing to have that and watch that in action on any given day. Like this, old houses just present themselves with challenges, and his ability to navigate those and lead us through that was unbelievable. You know, and we rolled up our sleeves a lot ourselves, like a lot of painting. I would not say I'm a skilled laborer, let's just put it that way, but like painting, and Colette and I did all the design, and that was a road and a process that was really amazing actually. But you have those moments of like, who are we to be doing this? But you know, collectively, I think we feel really proud of the end output, and you have those moments of like, is it good? And then to have people like yourself or others come through the door and really validate that is super rewarding. I think the best thing about it, though, is that what we've ended up creating is something that feels easy and welcoming, beautiful, but also preserves the character. Like you can see behind me some of the original fireplace and the moldings on the ceiling, and the front part of the house. And then to just add a little spark and a little life and a little modernity, it was a really fun challenge. And, you know, there definitely were days where we were like, oh gosh, what have we been into? But you know, having capable partners that I have, we just made it happen, and it was an intense year and a half, but one that we're really proud of.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So you actually kind of stole my next, or you answered my next question, which was about the feeling you should have. And certainly when I was there, you get that kind of sense of hybrid of it's comforting but yet elegant at the same time. So you have a sense of able to feel at ease, but
well. Thank you for saying that. I know it's not always like, it's interesting because people are like, what are you? And often, you know, we have friends that are like, well, did you just do a little Airbnb in the valley? And it's like, when you get into the building, you realize the scale of the building, because we have 11 rooms and 2 common spaces and a large, you know, 60 to 80 person event space in the back. So it's a substantial building. And then in the front part, it's got all that old character, which could, you know, potentially feel austere or like, you know, a little buttoned down. But what we love is that we've seen it played back where people will come in and be like, take their shoes off and walk around in their sock feet like they're at home. So it's, I feel like really grateful that that's the experience people are playing back to us, because that's what we really envision, because it's that idea of like, we're here in Nova Scotia, we're in the valley, it's that relaxed feeling where you can really connect to life's goodness and not feel too precious about it, but also feel like you're held in a really beautiful space. And I think personally for me, we can all use a lot more beauty, joy, love, and kindness in the world right now. And that's the kind of container we want to have here for people to come together and experience that.
Yeah, and speaking of coming together, you know, and I know all of you, and you're all kind of passionate food and drink lovers. How important for you was it to embrace gastronomy as part of the August House kind of offering or vision?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. We ourselves are passionate about that, and like often love to see what's going on in the industry and who's doing new things, and to be able to have a container where we can offer culinary experiences in more of a pop-up fashion, where we can bring different folks through the door, felt really important. So we have a commercial kitchen, and we have an event space where we've started to do those pop-up dinners. Felt really important as an anchor to a reason to come and a reason to experience the best of the Valley in Nova Scotia and the great talent we have here in culinary. So we're just excited to be able to have a container where we can do some really cool stuff, and people hopefully see that as a great reason to come visit us and enjoy it as well.
Yeah, and I know you recently had an event with Benjamin Bridge, and tell us a little about that event. How did it go?
We did. That was our first, what we'll call, you know, pop-up culinary. So we partnered with our friends at Benjamin Bridge and a dear friend bar. And so we had the great chefs at those 2 amazing businesses come in and do a 6-course dinner paired with wines from the amazing repertoire of Benjamin Bridge. So we had Jean Benoit on the team here presenting the wines, and it was fantastic. Everyone loved it. I mean, they're so good at what they do, and the food was just beautiful. And some really special wines shared. But the biggest takeaway was for the folks that stayed with us was the ability just to like roll on upstairs after dinner and hang out and be together with their friends and meet new friends and just have that whole container of an experience here together. So yeah, it was super, super amazing for us to see it come to fruition. And then we have another one coming up this weekend with Coda Ramen, mostly because we need our own ramen fix. And we are excited to have Jamie down here this weekend. So that's coming up next up. And then our plan is to hopefully run a series of this through the year. So like every 6 to 8 weeks, we're doing something really fun and interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I would say the idea of, it's great too when we think about, that you can't, nobody wants to drink and drive. So having that option of just kind of walking upstairs is a great option. So how does one find out about the August House? Is there a website or how?
Yeah, we absolutely have our website, which we update with any upcoming events. It's a place where you can, check to see availability, book rooms. So it's www.theaugusthouse.ca. And then also we're fairly active on Instagram as well. So any updates there, you can find us at the.augusthouse.
Awesome. So thanks, Laura, for being part of the show. And I would say anybody watching, make sure you get down to the Valley, experience some great, and Windsor specifically is a great time to kind of if you haven't been in a while, it's a great time to go back to Windsor and check it out. And you might be just surprised how good it is in Windsor. So thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it.